All right, well, welcome everybody. So this is going to be our end of quarter intern presentations for winter. So today's Friday, February 11th. We're not yet done with winter quarter, but we're getting close. And at the end of the quarter, we always like to hear from the interns that have been working and just to hear what they've been up to, what kind of things they've learned or been working on during their time as interns. And so that's kind of why we're here. You can see there's a schedule on our screen. Here's the rough plan, give or take. It's not going to be exactly to the minute, but we have 4 interns presenting today. So I just wanted to welcome everybody first, and then in a few minutes we'll have Lee go first. This is just kind of random order. And then Joseph would be our next presenter, then Abby, and then Ben. We also have mentors here as well. So we have some are arriving late. I know Michelle has another obligation, but she's going to try to come late. Ben, that's why I had you go last. So we have Michelle, Jansen, Griswold, Robinson, Luke, Thankin, Samuel, and Stanley are all our current mentors for the quarter. It's winter right now, but we're really excited for spring. I think we're up to 4 additional interns that are going to be joining us for spring, so that's really exciting. So we'll have them be joining us and have more mentors being involved as well. So all right, so that's the plan. I think but we'll get started with Lee in just a minute. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we get into our presentations? Okay. Good. So each intern has been given about 5 or 10 minutes to share some of what they've been working on. Each person has their own version of whatever they chose to present about. So we'll let them speak and share their screen for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then when they're done, we'll have a chance for people to interact and ask questions if they have any. And we'll go from there. So I'm going to close my screen now. Okay, and I believe I have everybody able to share their screen for their presentation. So the first intern we're going to hear from is Lee. So Lee, how about you take it away?
All right, I just have to figure out a way to share my screen. Give me one second.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay. Yikes. Okay, it's not letting me share. Give me one second.
Okay. Is the green share screen button?
Yeah, that's what I'm clicking. And
what's happening when you try to do that?
It just says it's like a system error.
Oh, okay.
Let me try one more time.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, I think that worked.
There we go. Okay, good. I'm glad you figured it out.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. So I'm Lee Hicks. I'm a Noyce intern through Metro. My mentor is Mr. Luke. I assist with 2 modular classes, so one on Monday and Wednesday mornings with Miss Van Hook, and then one on Tuesday and Thursday evenings with Mr. Luke. So each day that I assisted in a modular class, I just come in and I'd unlock the computers, and then throughout the day, I just try and answer any questions that students had regarding their courses. And then 1 or 2 times I try to walk around and just ask if the students needed any help. And then recently, actually, Miss Van Hook, she had me help grade some tests for one of her classes. I believe it was a college algebra class. So I really enjoyed that. And then also Mr. Luke, he had me create different worksheets for classes he had. And that included, there's an addition facts table I made, a subtraction practice, dividing whole numbers practice, and then there was a word problem practice as well. And that kind of consisted of addition problems, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And then the most recent one I made is a reducing fractions to its lowest term worksheet. screen's kind of glitching here. There we go. All right. So what I learned, one thing I learned is that it takes multitasking when teaching. That's something very important to have. The other day I was discussing with Mr. Luke, like important skills to have as a teacher, and he mentioned multitasking, and just seeing firsthand in both Miss Van Hook's class and Mr. Luke's class, I've seen that it's a very important skill to have, especially in modular courses where there's different students who are taking different courses at the same time, and they're all having questions, asking one teacher questions. It's definitely important to be able to multitask and like take care of those. And then some goals I have for next semester or just the rest of the semester, especially for the modular classes, is just being more confident. And when I walk around, because I know sometimes I'm a little timid and I don't want to like interrupt the students while they're working. So it's definitely important for me to gain a little bit more confidence and walk around and make sure that each student gets the help that they need. And then another goal that I have is just to work on my wording. I find that when I'm explaining things to students, I know like my brain works differently than everybody else's. Like everybody's brain works different. So I just need to make sure I find a way to explain it so that the students will understand. And yeah, I'm just excited for the next quarter to see what that brings.
All right, that's great. Thank you. I was curious, is there a certain program or resource that you use to make the worksheets for Mr. Luke's class?
I kind of just use Google Docs, and then I just like built it on there basically.
Okay, and can you tell us again, what was that class that you did the worksheets for?
It was for one of Mr. Luke's other classes. I believe it was like intermediate class. I'm not 100% sure which it was. But yeah, I just made a whole bunch of different worksheets for that one.
I'm going to comment for that. That is math 900.
Okay.
Basic arithmetic. Thank you.
Okay, basic arithmetic. Mr. Luke, you might not have been planning to participate just now, but can you tell us how you ended up using the worksheets that Lee made?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to practice those worksheets with my students. You know, that's as an extra practice other than book. So 900, they need to practice a lot of addition, multiplication, division, you know, fraction stuff. So I'm going to practice with my students. That's my goal.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Good. Yeah, and that was a basic arithmetic class.
Basic arithmetic.
Good. Okay. Well, Lee, it sounds like you've gotten some good experience helping with the modular class. And yes, you're so right about the multitasking. That's very true. There's a lot happening at one time, even in a quiet modular class. There's a lot going on. So good. Yeah. Well, we appreciate having you as an assistant, and it looks like probably you'll be switching who your mentor is next quarter. So I don't know yet who it's going to be, but hopefully you'll get some new experiences, maybe with different types of classes as well. So that's great. Good. Before we move on to the next person, anybody else have any questions or comments or anything before we move to our next presenter? Okay, we can always come back as well. So, all right, good job, Lee. Thank you very much. Our next intern to present today is Joseph.
All right, let me just get my share screen. All right, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my third quarter with Noyce and will be my last quarter. And my mentor is Thankum. Well,
Oh, something happened there, Joseph.
I think I disconnected for a little bit.
Okay, yeah, whatever you just said got cut off. Are you able to get the screen back up?
Yes.
There you go.
Is it good now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we didn't hear anything from here, so maybe start over if you were already starting.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what I did this quarter. I helped with a online modular class. I did this before my shift at the math center, which I started working at last quarter. And it was about 30 minutes or so before the math center opened. And I just I started out, I didn't know what to do at first, so I just went around to all of the students' breakout rooms and I asked them if they had any questions. And then I asked them what assignment they were working on, and then after the class, I would check their progress to see if they're all on track, and I would share that information with Thankum. But about halfway through the quarter, I found that there was one student in particular that normally asked questions. So I would just go straight to that breakout room and answer all their questions. So Thankum can answer the rest of the students' questions. So she didn't have to spend as much time with one student. My on-campus modular class I helped with as well, or not mine, but Thankum's. It's not the most active class. A lot of the students did prefer working alone, so I didn't always sort of get up, ask questions. So the way it ended up working out was sometimes students would come to me with questions, or they would ask me for like a test password or something like that. So it wasn't the most exciting thing in that classroom. Two students in particular actually did help quite a bit, mainly just reviewing tests and reviewing things from the previous module or something like that, because there was the break during this quarter, so they might have forgotten a few things. And a lot of the time I wasn't actually helping students because, you know, they like to work alone. So I would normally grade worksheets that I made last quarter, work on homework, or just check students' progress on the assignment manager. Zoom tutoring this quarter, pretty much the same as every other quarter. It's not always the most busy, but most of the time at least one student showed up and I would help them. I use Microsoft OneNote to tutor. I just share my screen, and then I have a drawing pad that I can just write on the screen with, or I can have them share their screen, and then I can use the annotate feature on Zoom, which is really helpful. And then again, I would work on homework if there was no one there. Weekly meeting with Thankum, normally about 30 minutes a week, and we would just review the previous week since it started on Monday. We would talk about students' progress and anyone that needed any help or any more help than others. And we normally didn't have much to talk about since we would address things on a, we would address things as they came up during the week. Thoughts about this quarter. As I said before, it's not always bad to spend a lot of time with one student. Like I can help one student and then sort of tutor them almost sometimes the entire class period. And it opens up a lot of time for Thankum to help all the other students. And another thing was, it was really nice to see the worksheets that I made last quarter actually helped this quarter as well. And I could actually see when I was grading them, there were problem areas, like on one of the worksheets, there was a equation and it ended with the variable being equal to 0. And a lot of students would say that the answer is no solution, which is obviously a big problem. So it's nice to know that that was an actual problem, and then we could address that later on. Things that I've learned and improved on over the whole 3 quarters that I've been here. I developed a lot more social skills in communicating with others, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable tutoring. My algebra is shown a big improvement, because before I didn't always show my work. I wasn't the best at that. So just showing students how to do step-by-step stuff and having, or being pretty much forced to show all of my work to them really helped with that. And time management, just in general, I've had to balance this with other classes, as well as getting rides to the campus and the math center as well, starting last quarter. So it was a lot of work, but it really does help. And that is it.
All right, that's great, Joseph. Thank you. Yeah, so as Joseph said, that he's been doing this for 3 quarters now. So yeah, it's been interesting to see how you've done some similar things each quarter, but I really appreciated hearing how some things you've learned or noticed or gotten better at. Can you tell us about the worksheets that you said you made last quarter and then you graded them this quarter? Can you tell more about that?
Yeah, so last quarter I was I didn't know what to do like in class. So Thinkum just had me make worksheets for some of her other classes. And what I would do is I just go in Word and I would use the equation feature and I would just make them that way. I would sometimes make my own, but I most of the time just grab them from the actual material or the book. And I would just organize them on that, make them all neat, and then I would send them to Thinkum and she would review them. I'll see if, I'm probably not gonna look for one right now. They're probably
That's
lost
okay.
in my files.
So that was for I think I remember it was a Math 0930 class, is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
Thinkum, would you mind saying a little more about that? And I'm just curious to know, because Joseph wasn't in your 0930 class this quarter, but did you still use his worksheets in your class?
Yeah, I use that worksheets for extra credit points for each test. And especially the second unit, like solving linear equation, that's the first time. It's like the basic step in any algebra class. So that is, Joseph made 2 worksheets for that class. So I handed in class after I covered those units. Then I gave Joseph to grade them. Then we discussed the common errors, common mistakes in all the worksheets. Like Joseph said, when you have like, it's like 10x equals 0, x, most of the answers like x, no solution.
Yeah.
The answer is not x equals 0. So that's then the next class I will address that question in the class before the test so that they will get a better understanding of. So that's the way we did with the worksheet. And also with the third unit, now we are covering function is one of the other important topics. So the ordered pairs, whether it determines a function, that's the one question students have more mistakes. So I am going to address, so he graded yesterday. So I handed in to Joseph during the modular class. He used some of the time during the modular class to grade those, and we will discuss together the common errors. And he always pointed out me this is the question that most of the students missed. Then in the next week, I'm going to discuss that in the class again. And for the test is coming up week after next week. So that's the way we use the worksheet. He made these worksheet for my last Math 0930 class. But right now, currently, he's helping me with my remote and on-campus modular classes. And another important point I noticed that we know what students have difficulty with different parts or based on different concepts. I have a student in my Math 0930 class. She has a basic problem with sign numbers, adding, subtracting, dividing, and multiplying. So I really pointed that student to Joseph. So she is attending Joseph's Zoom help section. So last time she got re-enrolled in the class. So now she passed. The first test she took 2 times, but the second test she passed the first time. So I'm so glad to see that. So she is doing, hopefully she will be able to pass this class. So that is one of the main help I received from Joseph. So I know which student has difficulty with which concept, so I can point that student to Joseph. During the class also, I have some students who have some accommodations. So specifically, Joseph is helping those students. Usually for the first attempt, I review the test with the student. If they don't pass the class, if it is like 40 also, I will review the student with the test. Then I will discuss Joseph regarding the points she missed in those parts and in the for the review. And also we usually ask that student without looking into the notes. I will write those questions in a sheet of paper. If it is not too long, then she will work on these problems, and then Joseph will help her with those missing parts or like with the equation. So, and she also passed the 4 modules. So she's in 910. Hopefully she will pass the final module also.
Wow.
Sometime, yeah, that is very helpful. I really appreciate all of his help.
That's really good. So thank you both for sharing that. I appreciate hearing from you as well. Think it's good to see different ways that mentors and interns can work together. It's, you know, you're there as a tutor, but it sounds like, Joseph, you kind of became like a team player with Thankum and really helping her to problem solve and identify. I mean, you mentioned helping certain students. I think that was one of the things you said, Joseph, right? Like certain students.
Yeah, specific students.
Yeah, you probably spent, you know, 90% of your time with maybe 10% of the students, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, good. I like hearing about the worksheets that you made, and not just worksheets as busy work, but it sounds like you guys really use them to identify how the students were doing, and then thank them, use that to help her teaching and reviewing. That's really good. So cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing. We're going to move on to the next person in just a minute. Anybody else have questions or comments for Joseph or anybody else so far?
I actually have one thing to say.
Oh, yeah.
I do have a shift at the Mass Center in a bit, so I'll probably leave like halfway through. I don't want to seem rude or anything, but
Okay, I
just wanna let
forgot. Yeah,
everyone
that's why
know.
we moved it. Yes, Joseph. Yeah. So are you going to continue working in the Math Center, Joseph, next quarter?
Most likely.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, you've been busy. So
Yeah.
that's great. Well, we've really liked having you as part of the program, and I hope sounds like you got something out of it and you're helping a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
students.
for sure.
Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, you leave when you need to, but yeah, thank you so much. All right, good. I think our next presenter is, who did I say is next? Abby is next.
Hello. Okay. Can you see my screen? I think.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, awesome. So for my winter quarter, I was with Nathan Stanley. So we worked together. So I'll just talk about sort of what I did and what I've learned. So I helped with a couple classes with Nathan's modular class. That was 0910, 0930, and 0931. And then 1315, Tuesday, Thursday from 2 to 3:50. A few things I did in that class was I created weekly checkups to keep them motivated in class. I tried not to make it busy work. Hopefully it was just a few questions that they could see how they're doing. So that was one thing. I did some reviewing over tests with students. Oops. Oh, great. And then also just helping with any other questions students have, walking around the classroom and seeing what works best for that. So that's the main thing I've done. Nathan and I also did have like weekly meetings just to chat about what's working, what's not. So here's some like examples of the like weekly checkups I made. So these I just made with Word. Not every week we would have one for each section, but usually it'd be like anywhere from 3 to 5 questions just about the sections they're working on. So here's the ones for the other classes that we did. This was like the first week of class, I think, but they sort of changed throughout. So that's that. And then also with this internship, I did a little bit of help in the Math Center, I think in December. So I did a little bit of help there, which was good. There weren't many people that came in, but I still enjoyed my time there with Doug. And then also Senior Academy started in January. So I helped with that. It's 0930 and 1315 high school students. That was on Tuesday, Thursday, 12:30 to 1:55 with Emily's class. So I also sort of incorporated the checkups with her class. So it was a little different because they have a semester schedule, so they're able to do it a little differently. But yeah, so with Senior Academy, I did the checkups and just helping with any questions, seeing where students are at and what they're up to. So that's that. And then another little thing that I worked on this quarter, it's still sort of a work in progress, we would probably say, is a mini project for the TEAS math test prep. So my plan is to go into nursing. So sort of what I worked on are just walkthroughs of the math section on the TEAS test, going through the different kinds of math problems. Like, I'll show you an example in a minute, but yeah, so it's basically just for students to get into the nursing program. There's 4 different sections. There's, I think, math, English, I'm not completely sure, reading, science, I think, something like that. So maybe. So here are a couple examples of like the walkthroughs that I did. I used OneNote. Nathan helped me figure out how to use OneNote in a way that we could like print these. So I sort of just like, some of it's a little wordy, but sometimes we spent our meetings going over that to make it less wordy so that it's like we can learn how to explain things to students in a simple way. So that's that. Overall, some things that I have learned over the quarter is just being available to students, just like being there, walking around. Like sometimes it feels like for me, I'm like interrupting students, but I think again, just being available to students is super important. Another thing I learned that if you don't know something, just ask your mentor or ask like sometimes like my algebra skills may be a little rusty. I just took college algebra, so I've been doing pretty good, but just ask questions if you don't know about like even in odd functions, we're still figuring that out. And then another thing, using the tools and like knowing the MyLab math for the modular class that I helped with. And then lastly, just finding new ways to explain things to students. I think sometimes we all have different thought processes. So that's something that I've learned, is to kind of go through and say, oh, that's a different way of thinking about it. And that some challenges that I faced going up to students can be a bit intimidating sometimes, but it gets better. I think I've gained more confidence over the quarter. Another thing is balance, just balancing your time with different students. Some students might need 15, 20 minutes, others might just need a thumbs up and they're good to keep working, And then using free time to work on things for the class, just working. Sometimes I would work on the assignments that they're doing. And then another thing that sort of came up with the Senior Academy class was finding ways to keep track of who has done the weekly checkups. I talked about this with Emily, and sort of organizing how that all works and how much you realize how much teachers how they have to organize everything. So that was really cool to learn more about that. And then a few things I'm looking forward to: continuing learning more about math and education, how that plays a role in nursing, because that's sort of still where I'm headed. I'm planning on tutoring for, I think, one of Nathan's lecture classes, and then maybe another modular class, not entirely sure. And then continuing working on, like, a goal of mine is to continue that student or tutor student relationship, making sure that they feel comfortable and that I'm just another person, and then also taking statistics. I'm actually kind of excited to do that. So yeah, that's what I have.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Abby. Nathan, would you mind sharing a little bit about the checkup worksheets in your modular class? Can you say anything about how you've used those?
Well, basically, it's just a kind of a diagnostics tool, get an idea of just how well, the students have mastered the content that they should have seen and completed in their MyLab math assignments up to that point, or up to that point in the week. And so that we catch some of those issues early, if there are any, so that we aren't finding, oh, well, you didn't understand this at all and when you took the test. Well, we'd like to know that it's an issue before they take the test, right? What do they call that? Not summative assessment, but formative assessment. Yes, formative assessment. And so that's the general idea. And so myself or Abby or both of us will go over those checkups with students and just point out some things that they did well, and then here's what didn't go so well. But we are encouraging, and we try to keep them short and to the point, so that they aren't consuming much of the class time on these weekly checkups when they should be spending time working on MyLab math. So that was the general philosophy or idea behind it. So
Can you tell, I mean, I'm curious just about the numbers. I mean, can you tell if it's had much effect on, do you feel like your students are more on track because of it, or is it hard to say at this point?
Oh, I don't know that I
Okay.
haven't really compared data as far as how are students doing on their first test attempts versus like prior quarters.
Mhm.
I've done a comparison there. I could and see if it's made a difference.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what I'd probably have to do, is compare it to how the students did on their first attempts, like last fall or in previous years. I think it's made somewhat of a difference. I think, because like I said, we've caught some issues early rather than later. So, but to me, when you ask that question, I want to quantify it. So I want to pull up data, but I don't have that data. So
Yeah, that's okay.
I couldn't tell you for sure.
All right, good. Well, yeah, you did a great job, Abby, and I've enjoyed having you. So I'm not an official mentor this quarter, but I've had the privilege of working with Lee and Abby in my classes. So that's been really nice. So yeah, Abby, it's been great to have you. Just for those of you who don't know, Senior Academy, basically they're high school seniors as part of the Avenue Scholars Program. They take the bus from their high schools to Metro to take a class with us. And so Abby's been helping with one of our Senior Academy classes, and she's done a great job so far. And yeah, you mentioned sort of, I forget how you said it, but getting a little more confident approaching students. And I know that feeling of, you feel like you're interrupting, but you want to be available. And so far you've had a really nice demeanor with the students, and I can tell they're comfortable with you. So that's really valuable. So.
Yeah, and I would add to that. I've noticed in my modular class that Abby definitely has there's a rapport there, a level of comfort that's definitely different when she's a peer and of their age, and then you're less inclined and a little more intimidated in asking the teacher a question, and I think they seem a little more relaxed. Just, it's not that they're not relaxed around me per se, but there's just it's a different dynamic, and I think
Totally.
I think they enjoy it. And it's nice that one of the students in our modular section happens to be, I think, a high school classmate of Abby's.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, one of.
There's one or two, yeah, that she knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Good. Very good. All right. Well, I think.
Can I ask Abby a question?
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
Mike, I Flesh here. I just want, Abby, you've worked a little bit now with the Avenue Scholars for a while, which are these high school seniors, and you've worked in the regular on-campus class. Any comments about the students, just general impressions about the class, the types of students, and differences between the seniors in high school you're working with and the on-campus, and any thoughts about the students themselves and differences that you've noticed or might observe? Any observations you might want to share? I'd be interested.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed is, I think since they're taking this college credit class, is most of them are pretty motivated to like get the class done, but also not like they're all at different levels. Some of them are more motivated than others. And that's what I've learned over this past quarter is, you know, every student works through things differently. So it's just kind of interesting. But I think comparing like the modular class to the senior academy, there's definitely like similarities, but also differences in their like attitude towards getting it done, or they're not wanting to get it done, you know.
So would you say, are you noticing the senior academy students more motivated? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I think a lot of them are. I mean, we have a pretty good sized class in that senior academy, and most of them I think are pretty motivated to get it done. Obviously, there's always students that you kind of push them a little bit, but I think it's really cool to just kind of see how some of them either really like math or they're just forced to take math, and they're like, you know, you just have to make it fun for them.
Thanks. I appreciate. I was interested in your observations. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Thank you, Abby. Any other questions or comments for now?
And I just want to add a quick comment about this weekly checkups. I think Abby and I were both thinking that, you know, we give these checkups as a way of forcing the student to work on these problems without the benefit of the MyLab math tools like help me solve this, show me an example, take all those tools away. Kind of like when you have a test, you don't have all those tools. So how are they doing when all those helpful tools are no longer available to them? So to get a truer sense of where they really are so that they really know what's going on before they take that test, right? So
Yeah, and just, yeah, giving them something on paper is probably valuable because everything's on the screen otherwise. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's great. Good. Well, speaking of Senior Academy, Ben is going to present next. And I know Ben is also helping with a Senior Academy class, among other things. But yeah, Ben, let's hear from you next.
Good morning. Let me share my screen real quick. Give me 1 second, okay? Because I use iPad. It's different than.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, I can share my screen.
Okay, there we go. We can see it now.
But it's not choice. Okay, yeah. So my name is Ben. This is my first quarter working with Michelle Jensen Griswold. I've helped assisting pre-algebra class and the Avenue Scholars Senior Academy class on the technical math. Here, what my work is kind of random, depends on each week. So like really first week, I help her do the summary sheet, like to explain to the students. Here's some work that I did. I using PowerPoint and GoodNotes. And sometimes I help her review for the test, like she have the worksheet, but then I just make the answer for the worksheet and then explain it to students. I have my own kind of check-in worksheet to check every student progress. So it's kind of easy to see like, are they on pace or they kind of a little bit behind, so I can help them to work on the pace. What I have learned from being a Noyce intern, I have learned how to assist students effectively. Like, so everyone are different. Some like might like to work on their own, or some might need help. On my first 2 weeks, I kind of go over everyone's homework to see their math background, and I kind of know them a little bit before I can help them in the class. And I have learned being a teacher really, like, besides teaching, like if you think about teaching is just like in front of the class and explain things to the student, but I have learned that being a teacher is kind of more work than that. Like maybe teacher have to grade the worksheet, prepare PowerPoint, or do a lot of stuff besides just teaching. And I have learned how to work and understand mentor styles. So my mentor, she like me like to walk around and then help them. So when I get in the class, I kind of get busy. So I have to check in for everyone. But I know that some mentor might like to just like me to stay right there and then wait for if student need any help. But I kind of work like active to get into student. And what have I gotten better at? So I think I can do math quickly in my head. Sometimes like some problems that I never done before, but by seeing it, like I can solve the problem in my head and then kind of like go over it in my head and then explain it faster to and clearer to the student if they have any help, and then get more confidence in being professional. Sometimes like I feel like they might kind of they might feel weird when my English is not that good, but then I have to be like confident and kind of help them through the problem, and then like they trust me like later on. So it's kind of build up my confidence. What has been challenging, so I have to prepare for any situation that might happen. I kind of have a lot, I have seen a lot of problem, but then we kind of solve it out like smoothly in the class. So sometimes like the student don't know their password, cannot access to Canvas, so I have to connect to the password station, helping them stuff. Or maybe the room is locked. I kind of have to know like where can I get the code to get access to the door. Maybe sometimes like some technical problem, the computer on my screen or on my mentor screen doesn't show the same as the monitor, and I kind of try to figure it out or Google it. So kind of help her. Or sometimes like the connection, like her tablet cannot show on this monitor. I kind of bring my iPad every time, so kind of be the second plan. I have like one time like we review the test. We review the test and answer the question. I have to like show how to do it like right away. I haven't prepared for it, and then talk about it in the front of the class. So being challenged is kind of I have to well prepare for any situation. And here's some example that I bought from my pre-algebra class. Sometimes I help Michelle doing PowerPoint for her lectures. So here's what I see, that sometimes like when they find the least common denominator, they might break it down, and sometimes some people might miscount how many, like for this example, you see 6 and 9, right? Sometimes they might get confused how many 3 do they have, and then they end up like with different answers. So my tip is on the right side, that I kind of find like what can I choose 3 because it can go into 6 2 times and it can go to 9 2 times. So when I got this number, I just multiply it, like kind of add up all of them and then get the least common denominator. So it's it's kind of easy to see, but it's just the same thing. Or maybe they can find the least common denominator to the factor 3. And sometimes like they get confused, like how many 3 do we have? Forget 4 or 2 or 5, something like that. So by using my technique, it's just like, okay, 3 can go to 9 3 times, 3 can go to 12 4 times, 3 can go to 30 10 times. So I kind of multiply all of them and then get the least common denominator. I mean, it just like easy to see, but it's just the same thing. Yeah, or this example is the same thing. So I have 12 and 20, and I use 2 first, and then okay, I got 6 and 10, and 6 and 10 can 2 can go to 6 3 times, can go to 10 5 times, and then I kind of put it together and get my least common denominator. So this is so overall, I happy working with Michelle and kind of gain my confidence and yeah, and have fun being Noyce intern. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Ben. That's great. I loved all the examples you showed. That's so good. It's good to see different methods of doing things. That's great. Very good. And Michelle, you joined just in time. I know you're super busy on Fridays. So do you want to say anything? You don't have to. I'm putting you on the spot. Do you want to say anything else about Ben's work in your classes this quarter?
She covered a lot, and I am so thankful. You know, I was a little nervous having an intern because I feel very new at MCC, but so she, you know, we have been faced with lots of different things, and she and I figure them out together, and she is fabulous. She's always on time. She, you know, we had 20 students or whatever show up, and not a single one knew how to get onto the computer. And it was just like, you know what, we'll figure it out. And she and she's just been very good, and she's very, very calm. And I have changed things throughout the quarter. You know, like with my pre-algebra that Ben spoke a lot about, we were doing things a little bit differently at the beginning. And then I did a lot shorter lectures and a lot of walking around from student to student. And she dove right in, and she goes, you know, from student to student, and is just wonderful. And, you know, she said that she doesn't speak very clearly, but I disagree. I can understand everything beautifully. And she just has that calm patience with the students. And I just think she is fabulous. And with the technical issues that, you know, it's always a learning curve. And she's very, I think she's very tech savvy. So for me, that was wonderful, because we did have a few technical issues in that one classroom in Mahoney, and when we figured it out. But anyway, so yeah, I couldn't be more impressed.
That's great. Good. Well, that's very nice to hear. Ben, I'm really impressed at all the things that you've been working on, and it sounds like you've had a good variety of experience in the classroom and developing materials, different ways of teaching a certain concept. And I think there's been a common theme of people talking about all the stuff that teachers do besides teaching, all the preparing and the multitasking and the, you know, choosing which students to help and all that stuff. So that, I think I've said it before, but it's kind of validating to hear it from an intern. But I'm really glad that you guys are getting that experience, and you're helping our classes, you're helping our students a lot. And I hope you're learning something too. It seems like you all are. So that's wonderful. Good. Any other questions or comments for Ben or anybody else for now?
Hi, Ben. I'm so happy to see the method of finding the LCD. That's the way I actually studied from India. So I'm so glad to see the older method. So yeah, thank you
Thank you.
for showing that.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good.
I learned the same way. Yeah. And I from the same place. Yeah.
I think what I feel that a mentor is kind of help a lot when mentor believe in me, and it makes student believe in me also. So they kind of listen to me though. Like I when I get in a class, I feel like I am the important person in that. So like they will raise their hand and then okay, I can, yeah, this person can help them, something like that. So mentors really help too.
That's
Even
great.
Michelle didn't know my math background before because I never be her students.
Yeah, that's good. The
Thank
mentor.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, so it just so happens this quarter we did have 3 new mentors this quarter. And Thankum was returning and she did a wonderful job. But yeah, thank you to Robinson, Luke, and Michelle, and Nathan. We really appreciate your work. It does, you know, this program doesn't happen without the mentors, and we're gonna bring on some more mentors for spring. So I just want to acknowledge who else is here today. So Rachel Nurath is here. She's going to be a mentor in the spring. Mike Flesh, of course, our dean. And then we do have 2 silent participants. Violet and Rainey will most likely be joining us in the spring as interns. So I invited them to just observe today. We also have Michael Matthews from UNO. So we have a whole team at UNO, you know, involved in all things Noyce. UNO has their own interns as well as Noyce scholars. So for those of you who are interested in pursuing a career as a math teacher, you know, there's a lot of good people that you can be put in touch with to just learn more about that opportunity. So we encourage you to do that as well. So good. Well, I think we're down to the last few minutes here. I am planning to meet with whoever's able to stay for, I'm planning to meet with the mentors at 12:30 on this same Zoom link. So if people need to sign out and sign back in, that's fine. But just for the last couple of minutes, do we have any other comments, questions, things people wanted to bring up today?
Well, yeah, I'll jump in just a second, Emily. Most of these people don't know me very well because I get stuck. You know, I'm Mike Flesh. I'm the Dean of Math and Science, and I work in the background. I am a very old math teacher. I think I had 37 years in the classroom before I started doing dean work. But I am so impressed. You know, sometimes as an administrator, you can do all kinds of things and you can, you know, push this, push that, help that. But it's so fun to see students. It's so fun to hear your stories. There was, you know, a day many years ago when I was in your position and learning and developing, and the things that you're learning and developing, and you know, some of you in this room will actually decide to become a math teacher, and whether you do or you don't, the skills you're learning and talking about are so important to whatever job you go into. But I know we're going to get a couple of you that actually want to be a high school math teacher. And you're going to work closely with Dr. Matthews and Dr. Gomez Johnson, and you're going to get into the Noyce program. And we would love to see that because, but the experiences you're getting and the people you're working with, you know, are so quality, and it's such a great experience. So happy to see and hear from all of you, and thank you for the, you know, for being here and doing the work, and I know it'll be helpful to you in your future. So I just wanted to, you know, thank you for the work. Hope you, you know, continue to do the things you're doing, and you're all on great paths. So great to see. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. That's great. Good. And I agree. Yeah, the things that you learn now, I mean, every job is going to require you to probably train somebody to communicate well, to get along with others, to be helpful and know when to ask for help, all those things. So yes, no matter what career you go into. I hope these skills will stay with you, but we do hope at least some of you choose the path of teaching, because it's a good one. All right, good. Anything else anybody wanted to say or share before we end today? Okay. So I'm going to stay on this same Zoom link for our Noyce mentors. Those of you who are able to stay at 12:30, so 4 minutes from now, we're going to talk about spring. We have to work out some schedules and pairing up mentors and interns for spring. Everybody else, I guess you're dismissed. And I just want to say for the interns for spring, just keep checking your email and you'll get some more details worked out over the next couple of weeks. Winter quarter ends February 28th. So that's soon, a little more than 2 weeks away. We have a short break and then spring quarter starts Thursday, March 10th. So the goal is to get things sorted out before then, to be in communication with your mentor. Once I tell you who that is, hopefully you can meet over Zoom or in person and start to figure out your schedule and your hours and your plan. Also, keep checking your email in terms of hiring stuff as well, those of you who are brand new. So, and you know how to reach me if you have questions or if I forgot something today too. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. I am actually going to sign out and sign on a different computer for reasons I won't go into, but I have a better computer where I can share some stuff. So I'm going to sign out and sign back in for the 12:30 mentor meeting. Everybody else, I hope you have a great weekend and thank you so much for just all the work that you're doing. All right, thank you.